Welcome to the Fitness Business Marketing Show, sponsored and created by Marketing for Gyms and Personal Trainers, one of the leading and most respected marketing companies in the fitness industry today. Hi, I'm Allison Briggs, and I'd like to introduce you to the creators of the show, industry leaders and all-around nice guys, Frank Smarrelli and Brad Cusworth. With a combined industry experience of over 40 years, having owned and operated personal training studios, health clubs, and managed well over 60 staff members, you're sure to get lots of valuable information from this week's show. So without further ado, let's jump straight in.
Thanks, Alison, and welcome everyone to show number 1. I'm absolutely pumped and excited to be launching our first podcast. This is seriously something we've wanted to do for quite a while now. So yeah, we're really looking forward to sharing some valuable tips and just some little golden nuggets that can really assist you in creating a successful fitness business. So let's get cracking. Frank, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, Brad. Welcome to our listeners, and yeah, really excited as well, mate. We've probably been talking about this, guys, for almost close to a year, and we've had bits and pieces going on, developing apps and software for the fitness industry as part of one of our other companies. But so excited to get this off the ground. We're going to be running these for most weeks. There's going to be times where we'll have some special guests, but certainly for the first kind of 6 to 8 episodes, it's just going to be Brad and I just rapping on about the industry and where we see it going. Some do's and don'ts and some other bits and pieces. So, Brad, basically, what's kind of caught your eye this week in the fitness industry, both not only here but both abroad as well?
Yeah, so mate, I was reading a blog article the other day, and it stated that more than 80% of personal trainers fail in their business within 3 years. This number is simply staggering. I just read that, I thought, wow, 80% of personal trainers fail within 3 years. So,
and I can guarantee you too, Brad, just to jump in, I can guarantee that would have nothing to do with their ability to be a really good personal trainer. So it's got nothing to do with the fact that they don't know enough functional exercises or they don't know enough, about nutritional sort of behaviors and patterns. It's probably got to do with, I would almost say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably 100% got to do with the lack of business nous.
Totally agree, mate. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Like that, you can literally be the best personal trainer in the world, but have the worst business. So yeah, when I read that again, I'd heard it a few times in the past, but it really got me thinking as to the main reason why. And you hit the nail on the head. I think it really comes down to personal trainers not focusing their attention on marketing and developing their business. Yeah. So maybe they think it's going to be easy to build a thriving business. I don't know. Maybe they think they'll just tell a few friends and family members and then boom, a 6-figure income. I'm trying to really put myself in their space and think what the reason might be. But yeah, unfortunately, to build a business in this day and age, it just doesn't work that way. People working in the fitness industry really need to start treating their business like a true business. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Every other industry that I can think of always focused on lead generation, marketing, sales, business plans, marketing plans. But yeah, when it comes to PTs, they don't. I'd say a very small percentage do that. So yeah,
and the thing is, and Brad, you would have seen this because we were both PTs in the mid to late 90s. So it's okay to start your business off the back of leveraging off your cousins or your neighbour and your parents and their friends and their sphere of influence. But that's literally, you might be able to build up to, 20, maybe even 25 sessions a week. But the reality is those people are not going to stick around forever. So if you're not actually building your business systems and trying to build a proper system, like you said, the sustainability is not there. Look, I'm not going to mention the club that I train at. Now, some of my clients that are probably listening to this know the club that I'm talking about, but I train at a local club that's probably about 2 miles from my office, and I'd say that they've had at least a dozen personal trainers start and stop within the last 18 months, at least 12.
Wow.
And the reality is, like, when I walk in there and I see these trainers, they're not self-promoting. There's no, banners up, or there's nothing that they're running. There's no challenges that they're running. There's nothing being posted on their Facebook page. So they're not in that mindset to be able to grow their business. So you literally see PTs walking into the club. They stick around for a month or two. They're hardly training any members. And then within that time period, they're out. And then, the manager or the club operator is hiring a new personal trainer. It's just like a merry-go-round. It just, I cannot believe how much it astounds me, how many personal trainers start within that club and literally within 6 to 8 weeks, they're not working there anymore.
Yeah, it staggers me, mate. It really does. And I think when it comes to referrals and word of mouth, they're fantastic strategies, and they're great strategies to get the ball rolling to generate that initial momentum. But after that, they really need to add more strings to their bow. And like we teach, ideally you need at least an absolute minimum of 6 to 8 different funnels or lead generation strategies to really get that growth in your business. So
especially at the start, especially at the start.
Absolutely. So I really think we're at a stage in our industry where PTs need to have a massive shift in their mindset and really start treating PT like a proper business. And, and part of this comes down to dedicating some more time to learning new strategies and, more importantly, taking time to absolutely action these strategies, to generate results in their business as well. So,
and being able to sell, like we often speak to personal trainers about selling, and that's it's almost like a dirty word in the industry. But the reality is, if personal trainers don't know how to sell or don't force themselves to actually enjoy selling, the sustainability and the profitability of their business won't be there. At the end of the day, we're all salespeople. I mean, we went to see Ryan Dice's team from Digital Marketer last Thursday, and they were all talking about that. Every single person that's walking the face of this planet that's in business is actually selling. We're really salespeople, and personal trainers don't like to hear that because, but Frank, we're so passionate about the fitness industry. We're personal trainers. If you can't sell your services, you can't run a sustainable business. So the reality is, for PTs listening out there to the Fitness Business Marketing Show, episode number one, I'm so pumped to say that you've got to understand, you've got to learn how to sell. First and foremost, you've got to learn how to market your business, but you've got to learn how to sell your services. Because if you don't, your business won't be there in the next 12 to 18 months. That's the harsh reality.
Could not agree more, mate. Very well said. So next up, mate, we've got the very first installment of Frank's book review. So what have you been reading lately, mate?
Brad, I actually read a really cool book last year. It was probably November last year, called The Membership Economy by author Robbie Kalman-Baxter. Now, I've actually heard her speak on several other podcasts. When I started reading the book, I was kind of getting into the first chapter, and I thought, this is kind of, it's going to be an okay book. And by the time I probably got into, probably page 50 or 60, I thought I couldn't put it down. I literally read the book in 3 days. Really, really good book, and I'm going to talk about it in a moment. But for any club operator that's looking at increasing their retention, increasing their customer service, increasing their loyalty, this is an absolute must read. You can get it for kind of $15 or $16 on Amazon. Robbie Kalman-Baxter, The Membership Economy, fantastic book. I guess the membership economy is all about putting the customer at the center of the business model rather than the product or the transaction. So important, putting the customer first rather than the actual product. Robbie Baxter basically defines the membership or a membership as the state of being formally engaged with an organizational group on an ongoing basis. She further explains a membership organization builds a supportive neighborhood around its actual members. So the promise of connection, community, and ongoing value must be delivered every single time. But I love the fact that she actually writes about member retention as well. As you know, mate, one of my biggest passions in the fitness industry today is having a real point of difference within your fitness business and providing a high sustainable level of customer service throughout the actual personal touch. That doesn't only include the orientation, the onboarding process, but the lifetime of that actual membership. So if someone's there for 12 months, you've got to be providing that high sustainable level of customer service the whole way through. And she speaks about that or writes about it in a fair bit of depth. So in terms of member retention, guys, listeners out there, club operators, and even personal trainers, I highly recommend reading that book for that example. She also talks about the optimizing process through onboarding. So making sure that your onboarding process makes the member or the subscriber feel that kind of warm and fuzzy feeling. So as we all know, the first 30 days of a membership program or a PT program is so important. And kind of in the industry, we look at 30, 60, 90. That 30-day process is so important. And the author kind of speaks about how to optimize that process so the members kind of feeling or the subscribers feeling warm and fuzzy. So really, really good. She also talks about better improving member retention through better relationships, giving your members something extra and allowing them to connect to you on a much more personal level. And she also says that this kind of creates stickiness throughout the relationship. So it's not only that first 30, 60, 90, but also creating stickiness throughout that 12-month membership or 18-month membership, depending what you're actually selling. She keeps saying, one thing that I took out, Brad, is she kept talking about, you've got to offer value. You've got to go beyond the members' expectations. So when value far outweighs costs, members become a lot more less price. I guess they become price insensitive, so they become a lot more loyal. So again, it's just about providing that higher level of experience or more so customer service, so that member then becomes more sticky to your brand and your organization. Yeah, look, guys, overall listeners, highly recommend any club operator or manager or personal training reading it, even if it's just from a retention perspective. But Robbie Cullen-Baxter keeps talking about the relationship that's built during the onboarding process and throughout the membership journey. So again, highly recommend it. Brad, I'm not sure if have you actually read that book?
I haven't actually read it yet, but as you're talking, I'm like, this would be perfect for us because we've actually got first-hand experience with a lot of the principles you're talking about. With my wife, Sarah, we've got a program where we run 8-week challenges. So part of that 8-week challenge is we've got a private Facebook group where you really create that community feel, and it's all about connection, and Sarah posts in there daily.
Relationships.
Relationship building. It's so important. I think a lot of trainers out there, they really miss this point. They see their PT business more as an exchange of time. When they come in, they train the client, but when they leave the door, they really don't have that follow-up support, encouragement, guidance, that community sort of feel to keep them engaged. And, as you know, that really increases retention. So, it sounds like a great read.
Yeah, the nucleus, listeners, the nucleus of that particular book, The Membership Economy, is about member retention is the most important thing in the membership economy. Because if you haven't got that, what happens after a while is the pool of prospects in which you pull from to grow your fitness business, the pool of prospects in which you pull from to grow your fitness business eventually runs out. So the reality is with most clubs, and I speak about this often, Brad, to my coaching clients, that I think most clubs tend to peak at that 3.5 to 4 year mark. Now, if you haven't got corporates moving into the area, or if you haven't got new residents coming in via residential apartments, the reality is the business can only hit an equilibrium, like a balance, or it's actually going to go backwards. So I often say to people that you've got to spend the time, yes, of course, on lead acquisition, but you need to spend just as much time on member retention, because if you don't, there is no doubt that after a 4 or 5 year period, research tells us is that clubs actually balance themselves out and actually start to go backwards.
Totally agree, mate. And how many people out there focus most of their time on getting new leads through the door instead of focusing an equal, if not more time on actually keeping the members and the clients they've currently got? So it really needs to be that balance of focusing on lead generation, but also the back end of retaining them and keeping them happy as well.
Yeah, well, it kind of sounds cliched, but it costs 6 times more money to actually acquire a lead than it does to keep an existing member happy 6 times. Lead acquisition, of course, lead acquisition is important because that's what's going to grow our business. But at the same time, we've got to start to learn more about member retention and actually put that at the forefront of our minds moving forward.
Absolutely. That's awesome, mate. Well, I'm looking forward to this segment every fortnight that we do a podcast because, I know you're an avid book reader, so it's fantastic. Cool. So before we move on to our Q&A section, Alison has a quick message from our podcast sponsors.
I'd like to say a quick thank you to one of our major sponsors, Gym Pages. You can visit their website at www.gympages.net for more information on how to easily create customized landing pages and websites for your fitness business. Now back to the Fitness Business Marketing Show.
Thanks, Alison. So Frank, what else do you have for our listeners this week, mate?
So, Brad, every episode we'll be answering 2 questions from our listeners. So if you have any questions, please go to our website on www.marketingforgyms.com. Click on the podcast tab in the top menu bar and scroll down and click onto the banner that says Ask a Question. This will then open up a pop-up, listeners, and literally just go in there, put your name, email, and ask your question, press submit or click submit, and that question comes directly to our Brad and I, our support team. So the first question, Brad, is we had this last week coming through. I own a health club in Sydney with about 1,000 members. How much should I be spending on Facebook every month to try and get it to 1,200 members? How much money should I be spending on Facebook? It's an interesting question to get to 1,200 members. I'm not sure whether decreasing or increasing the spend on Facebook is going to get you to 1,200 members per se. But look, I think, Brad, and I talk to my coaching clients a fair bit about this most weeks, that I think a typical 24-hour club, whether that's a Jets, a Snap, a Plus, an E-Time Fitness, I think most clubs should be spending about $350 a month. Now, look, there's people that would listen to this and probably say, oh, Frank, we're kind of spending $500 and $600. I believe that if a boutique health club that has around that 1,000 members like our listener, or the question that was asked, I think that if you spend your money wisely, I think $350 can get you a long way on Facebook. So as an overall marketing strategy on Facebook, I think that if you're spending $3 to $3.50 and you're spending that wisely, when I say that too, Brad, you kind of know my philosophy on this. I think that Facebook has changed enormously over the last 12 months. People are sick and tired of being sold to on Facebook. That's why so many people went to Snapchat, now back onto Instagram. It's because people are sick and tired of being sold to. So I think that most people listening to this, club owners, operators, and PTs, start to reallocate most of your funds, not all, but most of your funds into organic-based posts, what we call organic jabs, and also organic jabs with soft selling. So rather than, like 12 months ago, people would just only spend their money on right hooks, basically sales-based posts. So get smarter with the way you use Facebook nowadays and start to allocate some of those funds into non-sales-based posts. For example, if you have a small group fitness, training facility, if you were to post a really kick-ass 60-second video and write some cool stuff, what some people say fluffy stuff, but write some cool stuff about the video or about the actual class or the brand without selling. Now, if you were to say, let's say you spent kind of $20 on that over 2 days, to me, that's a really smart boosted post. Because to me, that's subliminal selling or subconscious selling. If the videos kick ass, and the video could have a call to action at the end, but what people were doing, and you know this as well as I do, Brad, what people have been doing over the last 12 months and continue to do so in the fitness industry, people are only spending money on their sales-based posts. So with the reach the way it is at the moment, less than 1%, if you're only boosting your sales-based posts, Brad, what are mainly people seeing in their newsfeed?
Yeah, exactly. That means they're not getting any value in their newsfeed. They're just being sold to constantly because they won't see those other posts.
Yeah, so it makes total sense to start reallocating part of your monthly budget, whether that's $350 or $400. Reallocate part of that monthly spend into your organic jabs and organic jabs with soft selling. Now, for larger clubs, I have some clients that are kind of that 15, 16, 1700. For bigger box clubs, then yeah, for sure you can kind of be spending between $450 and $500. But I actually really believe that clubs, and I know some clubs that spend $600 and $700 on paid traffic a month. I just think that you're not using your money wisely enough. If you have to spend $700 to $800, if you're a boutique club and you have to spend $700 or $800 on Facebook ads every month, then I think you need to relook at your entire marketing strategy, because I just believe that you probably should allocate or reallocate some of those other funds or some of those funds into other marketing channels. I think you said this earlier on in the show that personal trainers kind of need 7 to 8 channels to actually grow their business faster. So I would reallocate some of those funds into jabs and jabs with soft selling. And if you're spending $600 or $700 on Facebook, take off $200 or $300 and go and spend it in other marketing channels. But to answer that question directly, $300 to $350 for a boutique club that has about 1,000 members. I think that'll go a long way if you know what you're doing on Facebook.
Totally agree, mate. Just to back that up as well, like a common theme with everything that we teach, and it'll be a common theme with these podcasts that we do, is the importance of adding value to your followers rather than just, I think most people make the mistake, sell, and people are sick and tired of being sold to. So focus on adding value and really, and even spend, as you said, spend a little bit on your boosts to actually get that value out, as well as on your bigger posts as well.
Yeah. I mean, the average punter, you speak to the average punter, and we speak to a lot of average punters in terms of when we go out to sporting venues, that sort of stuff. Yeah, people have just gotten off Facebook. So many people have gone onto Instagram. And the main reason is because, Frank, it's just not as noisy. It's not as crowded. Yeah, it irks me when you just jump on someone's news feed and all you see is sell, whether that's selling directly or indirectly. I just think people have got to start to be a lot smarter with the way they use Facebook and start selling more from a subconscious, subliminal level. So, that's my take on that question. Brad, what have you got? What kind of questions come up for you this week?
Yeah, so a question I had from John in Victoria this week. He said, I'm a PT that has just graduated. Should I focus on getting clients through Facebook, or do I need a website first? Okay. So, yeah, great question, John. The short answer is that you need both. And obviously I'm going to elaborate on that. A website should be regarded as a central focal point for all of your marketing efforts. I really believe it's essential. So it's an essential part of your business. You need to build a name, first of all, obviously a name for your business, but you also need to build a brand as well. So I'm just going to run through a few quick tips for setting up your website. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about your Facebook page as well, because I see it that they really work hand in hand when you're starting a new business. So initially, the website should contain a welcome video with a really good opt-in offer to generate leads. And there's so many trainers that we work with that don't have any offers on their website. So we definitely recommend adding that. With your website, you should also have a bit of a bio to tell people about, it might be your passion for fitness, why you became a trainer, also a list of your qualifications to add a bit of credibility to what you're doing as well. You should also have a services page with a list of the types of PT that you offer. So starting out, it might be just one-on-one, two-on-one, possibly some small group training as well. So have a bit of a blurb for each one. You also need a contact page so people can easily connect with you, and make sure you have a Google map there as well so people see where you're located. Now they're the absolute basic essentials for any website. So anyone starting out with a new business can start with those features, and as you grow, you can then add additional features like you might add a testimonial page, you might add an image gallery showcasing your studio or whatever it might be. You can add more pages as you go, but the absolute basics is what I've just covered there. So definitely recommend that in terms of the website. Now, I'm just going to run through quickly the first steps, because I know this will be relevant to a lot of our listeners that they've just become qualified. Even at Australian Institute of Fitness churn out 7,000 new PTs every year. We talked about earlier that a lot of those fail, but I know a lot of people are at that stage where they're being qualified and they're wondering what to do next, which is what John's asking. So first step would be think of a business name, then go to GoDaddy.com, see if that name is available. A lot of them are taken nowadays, so you might need to get a little bit creative with it, but you might even try .net, which is what we do with some of our domains these days. The next step is get a logo created. You could use something like Fiverr.com, get a logo done for $5. And after this, you can get your website created. Now, obviously, we can help you with that if you do need a hand. We've got a platform called Gym Pages where you can get up and running for about $67 a month, which is really easy. But yeah, we can support you with that. Now, after you've got your website up and running, you definitely need to be on Facebook. And, obviously there's a number of platforms available these days. You've got Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, the list goes on, Twitter. But we believe Facebook should be the first step so you don't get too overwhelmed. Every new business should have Facebook. So you want to make sure you set up a page for your business rather than having a profile. And then make sure you use consistency with the name should match your website, the logo should match your website, obviously the branding, the colors, the timeline banner that you use, everything should be congruent so that your messaging and your branding is consistent. And then from there, it's just a matter of starting to post content regularly on your Facebook page. Invite all of your current friends, family, get them to start interacting with your page, which will really generate that initial momentum and really get the ball rolling when you're starting out as a new PT. Also, don't be scared to ask them to help you out by sharing your page on their own profiles and liking, commenting. That will really help to get that initial momentum, which is probably the hardest part when you're starting a new business. Is you'll do a post and nobody will see it, but you just got to persist and really leverage off your current contacts to get that initial exposure that you're really looking for. So to sum it up, John, I definitely recommend getting your website, getting your brand, getting your logo, getting your colors sorted, get Facebook up and running. And like I said earlier in the podcast, treat it like a business from day one. Don't treat it like something I'm just going to see if I can get a couple of mates training with me.
That's the problem, isn't it, Brad? That's the problem. Like that's like PTs start looking at it. Like if you start looking at your business like that from the get-go, it actually creates a pathway. That's the way you're going to treat your business for most of the time. But if you start to actually look at your business as a proper business from day one, well, that's how you're going to view it most of the time. So you've got to set yourself up properly from the get-go.
Absolutely, so important. I'll just give a quick 30-second recap on that because one of my clients, I'll never forget her. She was an absolute superstar. She was getting qualified with the Australian Institute of Fitness. She loved training. She loved fitness. She was actually just starting her Cert 3, and she called me up and said, "Brad, I know you guys deal with marketing. I'm currently doing my Cert 3. I want to make sure I hit the ground running." So she called me up and she said, "What should I do?" I said, "Look, start thinking about your brand, your name, your business, your logo, set up Facebook now. So she did all of that. She had everything ready to go. We had her website ready to go by the time she was qualified. But while she was only doing Cert 3, she was already posting content on Facebook. She had 700 likes on Facebook before she was qualified and before she opened the doors. You know what? Within a week, she had a fully booked out. She had a fully booked out group training session with about 30 women. So
that comes back to mindset, doesn't it, Brad?
An attitude, and being ready from day one.
Definitely.
Are you going to treat it like a business?
There you go. Beautiful, mate. Yeah. Well said. That's great answer. Solid question and great answer. Well done.
Cool. So this brings us up to the last segment of the Fitness Business Marketing Show.
And now it's time for Frank's Weekly Rant.
Thanks, Alison. And my weekly rant this week is more marketing, not less marketing. More marketing, not less marketing. There's so many existing brands growing globally and even more, new brands coming into the market, regardless of whether our listeners are in New Zealand, Canada, UK, America, etc., Australia. To survive, you really need to be... You need more marketing, you need better marketing, you need better marketing initiatives, better marketing strategies, not less marketing with a head in the sand approach. And it just amazes me how many people that I meet that say, oh, Frank, our competitors are doing this and, they're doing this. Okay, cool. What are you doing? Oh, we're not really doing that anymore. We're not really doing... Okay, so what are you doing? Oh, we're not doing much. To me, Brad, that's kind of like as I mentioned, that's a head in the sand approach. This is a marketing game, listeners. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is a marketing game more than it's ever been in this particular space or competitive space that we find ourselves in. Don't just be another face in the crowd. Stand out from the crowd. It's a question I often ask my coaching clients. Do you just want to be a face in the crowd, or do you want to stand out from the crowd? And the answer to that should be completely obvious. It amazes me how many group fitness or team training based brands that are being released into our marketplace at the moment throughout the world. This doesn't include the smaller kind of type of independent studios and brands that are also opening. Most of these fitness businesses are basically fighting for the same target market. So rather than succumbing to the competition, what I say is, be better than the competition. Consistently review your points of difference, or more so your value points of difference, and market the hell out of your fitness business. Don't have that head in the sand approach. Step up, roll your sleeves up and start marketing your business more. Optimize the shit out of your Facebook newsfeed. Get better at doing your boosted posts. Get better at drawing traffic to specific online pages. Start using Instagram more than just doing a couple of boring old posts here and there. Optimize your onboarding and orientation process to set yourself up for referrals down the track. So important. I can't believe how poor some of the orientation and onboarding processes are in our industry. It's almost embarrassing, to be quite honest. Remember the term outreach marketing. It still has a place in our industry. Relationship marketing, setting up strategic alliances with local traders, local schools, local people is a faster way, guys, to grow your fitness business than doing the old boosted post, an odd boosted post here and there on Facebook. Relationship marketing still has a place in our business. Get busy, roll your sleeves up, get on the bloody phone. When it's quiet, connect and connect and connect. Even if it takes you 10 times to connect with one single prospect, make sure that this sounds very cliche, but follow up is king. Make sure that you guys are rolling up your sleeves and doing as much as possible physically, mentally, and emotionally to actually grow your business. More marketing, better marketing, optimized marketing, listeners, not less marketing. Brad, that's my weekly rant.
I love it, mate. Well said. So listeners, just a quick reminder, every single podcast episode we'll be answering 2 questions from our listeners. Now, if you have a question that you would like answered, simply go to www.marketingforgyms.com. Just click on the podcast tab in the top menu bar, scroll down and click on the banner that says Ask a Question. This will then open a pop-up. Simply put in your question in there, submit, and then we'll cover as many as we can on the next episode of the Fitness Business Marketing Show. So, Frank, we made it to the end of episode 1, mate.
Well done, mate. Well done. Awesome. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, fantastic. So, enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Brad. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
All right. So, listeners, as always, until the next Fitness Business Marketing podcast, knowledge without consistent action means very little. But when you take massive action, you are sure to generate positive results in your fitness business. To wrap things up, Alison has a quick message from our podcast sponsors. Have a great week and bye for now.
I just want to quickly thank our major broadcast sponsor for making this fitness business marketing show possible. Marketing for Gyms and Personal Trainers offers the most comprehensive PT Business Accelerator program in the world. It was voted #1 business growth program for personal trainers in 2016. The program is currently accredited with Fitness Australia and offers 15 CEC points upon completing an online multiple choice assessment. Visit www.marketingforgyms.com and scroll down to PT Business Accelerator Program under Services for more information.